All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Friday, February 24th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, let's get into the market here. And spiders down 1% here on the day. Triples down 1.75, so 1 3/4. Same thing with the semis there, 1.8 currently. Dow down 1. And the Russell, let's take a look at that Russell there. That is down 1% as well. What we have here, so some pretty big things to talk about. We have a failure on our hands. So weekly inside bar, that is well closed below there. On the spiders, needed to close above 400 spot 28, and we closing way below, about $4 below that on the SPY, so 396.50 currently. And we're below that weekly 50 MA again. So this was not acting, this should have acted, you pushed through it, you confirmed above it. This should have acted as support. It did not. Triple Qs here. Again, gap and go. So we gap below the 50 MA and, we pushed below it here. They are saving this green bar here on the weekly of the triple Qs. So that is somewhat noteworthy. Also the Russell, and market's about to close here. There's the bell. And you can see that they just saved that on the Russell. You see the blue line right there. So this is getting saved, but I think this is way too little too late here. So what we have right now is, again, failed inside bar and close back below that 50. I think a lot of people are going to look at this upsloping trend line and they're going to say, oh, look at that. We closed, we had a hammer candle. We had the 200 moving average. We held the 200. But that weekly, that's the big level. And that is a failure. And that's not on accident either, by the way. These levels, the market makers know it, the algos know it, the institutions know it. And this is done on 98 million shares too. So that is sufficient volume. That's really what we've been lacking the last couple of weeks on these sell-offs. We haven't seen the volume. We saw it today here. So spiders also below that 50 moving average. They tried to bounce it up at the end of the day. Didn't really quite get there. I think with that being said, you are a little oversold here on a daily time frame. So there's a chance we could go up here. We pierce through this. Maybe we go up and test 400. There's a gap up here at 466. If you get through that, there's the red bar high up there at 404.16. It's not, it's not out of the question to get there. But once these patterns fail, it's like your signal to sell the rip essentially. Take a look right here. This was a daily chart pattern, but spiders, we closed below that right there. We had a rally up and that was it. So that was your sell the rip signal. Now this is on a weekly, so this is a much bigger time frame here. So much more important. Again, another example, bear flag, we closed above that high and we didn't even really need to pull back until we got up here. Right, until we got to the all-time high trend line. But I mean, you can see how quickly this can shoot up and get out of hand. So a little short-term oversold, but I think we're probably going to come down here. And usually when you get a failed pattern, the first level of support doesn't really hold that well. You can blow through it pretty quickly. So I think if we come up here, this all-time high trend line, I think we can cut through that. Well, depending on where we are, I guess, it depends on how much time it takes. But we'd be looking at really this kind of area here. This is where we broke out. So around 386 on the spiders. There's that pivot low right there, 387.26. That's what we're looking for here. Yeah, this is what we've been talking about all week long is we got to watch this low pattern here. We got through it on Monday. We closed below it Monday. We closed below it Tuesday. Yesterday we had a bounce. And today, I mean, this is about as good of a statement as you're going to get. The only thing is it came out the lows here, but honestly, I think it's just the fact that we were oversold. We had to get a little bit of a bounce there off the lows. But you can see here, even on the hourly, that's just a bear flag. So, I mean, what do we trade up here to 397 tomorrow? Maybe 400, it's possible. But we could even chop around on Monday. That would actually be even more of a win for the bears. But either way, again, market's still a little oversold here in the near term. We'll get bounces along the way. That's not going to go down in a straight line, but I do think the next leg here has started. So spiders obviously under pressure here. Again, they saved the Qs here for the the week. They saved the 200 moving average too. We went down there and basically touched it. 200 MAs 290.12. We got down to 290 05, and we closed back inside of this little channel here, but technical damage done on the spiders. And that's really good enough for me, especially, and again, a lot of people are going to look at this and say, oh, it's a doable, we still have a bullish structure here, but a bullish structure, in my opinion, would be holding that 50 MA. So that looks more like a failed breakout than anything. Your saving grace here in the near term is that you didn't break that low. If that breaks, and I should say when that breaks, this is going to go a lot lower here, but nice rally here. For those of you guys who are taking my cycle course, you can see, we should have topped out when we did. It's pretty easy to see there on the weekly, but either way, nice little down move here for the markets. Let's take a look at the diamond. So the diamond's been under pressure anyway. This is just, ever since we broke this. I mean, this broke on Monday. And it's just been pretty much a straight line down. Again, we had a little bounce yesterday, but losing that 100 MA, I thought we would get some type of a bid here off of that. But, weakness in the diamond here. Never quite got to the 345 target. And even had kind of a smaller kind of weekly inside bar there, but that has failed. Now we've closed below that red bar. So, we're holding the 50-week moving average again. Maybe it gets a bid here. You got a little support in this range. But again, diamond under pressure. We talked about the Russell. We closed back below 288. So that was, 188. So that's an important level. Again, they did barely, by the last gasp here, they saved that weekly level. But again, Russell, lost the 188 area. You still have a daily inside bar there. So looks like we closed inside of that. So if this goes sideways, this is setting up to go lower as well. So looks like the next leg has started here. Let's look at the semis. So SMH, again, NVIDIA kind of doing a lot of the legwork here. So it was basically sideways. So NVIDIA is holding the gains. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt for that. If this, chops sideways though up here, you could be leaving an island. Could it go up to the 618? I mean, yeah, it's possible, but I'm not seeing it here. If we were going to do that, I would think the spiders would have held up today and not closed below 400. Technically, the Qs did, but that would be quite a divergence here if the Qs started ramping up and the spiders weren't. So either way, that would be a stone cold short level there on NVIDIA. But for right now, it's holding up here. It's doing its job, keeping the semis up here. Again, we did have a failure there on the SMH, and if this starts to go sideways below this 20 MA, this could be setting up for a move lower as well. So we'll watch that moving forward. Semis are a good leading indicator. Always keep an eye on them. IGV, much weaker than really everything else. This here. Now, this, I believe, let's just double check here. So we got the low. So it looks like they saved a few of these. So 276.69, sorry, we closed above that. We did lose the 50-week moving average though. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 tails there on the weekly chart though, so a lot of supply coming into play here. We did close below this pivot. So while we didn't lose that inside bar low, we did close below this pivot high. So that could be considered a failed breakout. So a lot of weakness there in cloud. It's kind of a mixed bag right now. We're not seeing an all at once kind of every sector sell off here, but it's kind of one by one, the cracks are starting to come in here. So cloud under pressure down 2% today. And, you're below that December pivot now. So on a weekly close, that is definitely significant. All right, transports here, DJT. That's a weekly close below this green bar, although this isn't the weekly pattern. You still have a lot of support down there at 14,100. But we did lose that daily chart level again. And you could say you tested the 50 MA, but if this goes sideways, again, you could be bear flagging there with a failure and another failure. So transports, again, there's a lot of support in this area. That's where you broke out of. So it probably does need to flag a little bit if it's going to get through that. But definitely under pressure today and closed down 54 basis points, just like a lot of other things. All right, over to interest rates here. So let's look at the 2-year PCE number this morning. Contract rollover, by the way, too. Still closed down 27 bips, well, from the open, I should say. But let's look at the yield because that's more telling right now. Big move there. And I think is that a fake print? I think that's a fake print. I don't have that on TradingView. That could be telling us something. Let's take a look here. I'm going to flip over to TradingView real quick. Here we go. And that is not on there. So that's a fake print on Thinkorswim. If anybody else has that, let me know. But there's a 2-year yield. Either way, you basically hit double top today. And even Bullard came out in the middle of the day and said something about we're basically close to target inflation, and yet the 2-year just kept selling off. So basically, the bond market again calling BS. We know that happens, but look at that volume there on the yield futures. I'm not sure if that was a fake print or not. Look at that. That just happened in the last 10 minutes. Interesting. So maybe that's where it wants to go. But 2-year yield up again. Look at the 10-year here, went red. Even with the contract rollover, it filled that gap and went negative, down 52 bips on the new contract. That is J. ZB here also went negative. So again, contract rollover there, 100 MA test. I'm not seeing anything good for bonds here. If this does more sideways consolidation, this wants to go lower. That's not good for the markets. Definitely not good for tech. By the way, take a look at HYG, closing the week below this trend line there. So again, a little breakdown there in high yield debt. Not a good look for the market in general. Anyways, over to XHB housing here. So again, coming off the lows, you basically kissed the 50 MA. We knew we'd have support around 66. And we have a little daily inside bar starting to build up. Again, same thing. Goes sideways, you're going down. Same thing there with housing. Let's take a look at ITB. Same exact pattern there. Kiss the 50 MA. If this goes sideways, it's going lower. VNQ. We put in this channel here. You're basically at the low end. You know, maybe you can get a bit up here. There's the 100 MA. Looks like we just cracked below it a little bit. 20-week moving average. Yeah, just off of the lows there. So, you know, again, maybe this gets a little bit of a bid, but I'm seeing lower highs here for this name. Fins. Fins actually held up really well today, surprisingly. So XLF managed to scratch out a 3-cent gain. JPM was actually up almost 1%. It stalled out at that 20 moving average. This looks very tired to me, though. I'm not seeing anything great here for JPM. Could it go up and get to 145? That was kind of the original target. If we were to still go up, it's possible if the market cooperates. But again, fins, you know, strangely holding up here today. Again, same thing. Down move, sideways to lower action. If we continue sideways, we're going to go down to 34.50. So XLF, you know, having a nice outside up or outlier day up. And then it's XBD here, 28 basis points down. Again, same thing, beautiful fake breakout, and then right into that zone. Came off the lows there, so there's your support at 488, and it's hanging on. All right, crude here was all over the map. Take a look at that daily candle. And big sell-off in the morning, and then a big reversal here, and it closed at the highs of the day. So crude hanging in there. If this gets a bearish pattern, though, I would not be opposed to shorting it. At this point, it's just, you know, you got a nice bear base here, and I think this is setting up to move lower, but I would need some sort of a, you know, it's daily chart sell signal, daily chart bear pattern. But for right now, it's hanging in there, had a nice little bid up 1.5 on the day. XLE was negative, but did come off the lows, just down 11 cents. Again, sideways action tells us it wants to go lower. XOP managed to have a nice gain here, still below that red bar, but it probably wants to go up and fill that gap on Monday. So we'll watch. Maybe we can get up to that yellow trend line. Again, energy has held up well. OIH finally got a bid off that 100 MA. And look at where it closed, 309.95. So what is that? That is above that inside bar low. So they just barely, by the skin of its teeth, saved that green bar low there on the weekly. Nice test candle. So this can still move higher here. I'll give OIH the benefit of the doubt for now. All right, nat gas. Continuing to get a nice move off the lows here. Had a lot of questions about the volume. So everybody's like, well, how can this be a low if the volume is so light? The answer is because the contract rollover. So if we flip over to the J23, which is what we are on now, there's your volume. And we're now above that 20-day moving average for the first time since December. You want to see some serious volume. That's in 4 days. So 697,000 contracts. We definitely saw capitulation. And I definitely saw it in my inbox this week for sure. We got above this level here. This will be resistance here, but take a look at the really after the COMEX close. One of the character changes here too of nat gas. That seller showed up into the COMEX close again, and the dip got bought, and now we're squeezing higher. I would think right now, it's not surprising to me we're squeezing, because if you were the short seller, whoever that was, probably a group of short sellers, shorting down here, up here, and you saw this move into the weekend, would you want to cover, or would you just lock in your gains and be done with it? I would cover because you get above 275, this thing's going to ramp to 325 very quickly. If we look at the continuous contract, the last weekly level here is the 200 MA. And we didn't even bounce when we hit that. So why wouldn't we be able to push right back up there? Look how extended you still are from that 20-week moving average. So there's a lot of upside here in nat gas, and I think the lows are finally in here. You see volume coming in here on the last day of on the rollover now, or on the first day, I should say. But nat gas, nice move there. You know, if it gets through this level and this high, probably 310, 325, but 375 is the bigger level. Anyways, over to the DXY. DXY having a nice day here. Again, we'll probably want to go up and test 105.50, 105.63 is this actual pivot high there. But again, beautiful move here. We got the lows, inside bar, nice move up. It's a little overbought short term. You are going into this necktie here. So again, there's that pivot high, 50 week, 20 week. So right into that area, we probably stall out in that range. It's not that far away, so maybe that does give the market a little bit of a lift here, but DXY getting a nice move off the lows there, and I still like it here. This will move higher. Gold here continuing to push lower. I thought this would need to consolidate more, but apparently, you know, that's just when you don't, you know, this should have V-shaped really off of this low if it was going to bounce. But obviously, you know, as we noted the last couple of days, the fact that it didn't do that is probably setting up to move lower. That has happened. You know, next area, again, 1800 or so. That's probably going to be your area, whole round number. You got the 100 moving average up sloping. Let's take a fib here. Yep, there you go. There's your 50% fib. So that's your next level there for gold. If we get there Monday, Tuesday, I might even pick it up myself if it's still this oversold. But yeah, gold showing a little bit of weakness there. As evidenced by the failure to kind of follow through on that bounce. Same thing with silver. Big power move down 2.67% on the day. Let silver do its thing. Leave it alone for now. It wants to go lower. There's better levels to get it at. We will be getting in that. If you want to get in, come find me on Carnivore Trades. Platinum, big reversal here. Nice rollover. So obviously not going to get to 975 here, but you know, it had a nice pop out of that wedge here, so that's really all you could ask for. Again, the better level on platinum is lower. I'll be playing that one as well here, so if you like the metals, come find me in there. HG, so copper, also heading lower. I'm looking for about 390 here. This ultimately I think wants to go to 375, but 390 should be a good speed bump here. But again, we talked about this. I just wish it got to 425. That's the level I was looking for. Not quite there for 423.7, and then a nice rollover. We closed below all this consolidation. So nice rollover there on copper. Again, you got the 50 week and the 20 week there. So again, that will probably be a speed bump in that 390 area, but I think 375 is kind of the better level here in the near term for spot copper. All right, over to Bitcoin. So we had a little bit of a rollover here. I heard some chatter about liquidations in Coinbase. It did come off the lows here. I'm not sure the full story though, but let's take a look here on the intraday. Yeah, pretty good dump there, and then a nice rollover towards the end. It did come off the lows there, and it's basically just hanging in there after hours. Technically speaking, this closes at 8 o'clock, I believe, the daily candle. Technically speaking, we're below 23,344. So that's that little mini green bar. We're a little bit below that right now. We're hanging on that 20 MA. This is the bigger one here, but a little bit of weakness though. You know, you'd prefer to see it hold this green candle here, even though it's the smaller one, and kind of maintain that bullish structure. We'll see what it wants to do here. Nothing's broken just yet, but a little bit of damage there. We'll see if that closes below the 20 MA. It's probably going to want to go down to 22.3. So just be aware of that. Ether holding up a little bit better. I like the 50 MA upsloping. It's holding that for now. Again, you do have those kind of like divergent highs though, so that's the only thing I would be a little bit cautious about. Say if we draw this in, yeah, I mean that could become a rising wedge, so we'll watch for that. If it gets a bid, you know, might want to go up to that 1800 handle and then come back down, so we'll watch that there. But for right now, it's hanging in there okay. I don't see any real problems, but it did get hit a little bit today. All right, back over to the spiders here. So again, everyone's going to look at this and say, well, We got a tail candle off the 200 moving average. It's just a back test. We're going to go higher, and we might go up a little bit here, but this is now a sell the rip market. That is a failure on the weekly. That is more important than the daily. The weekly does not care about what the daily is doing, and more importantly, we're back below that 50-week moving average on both the spiders and the triple Qs there. So bear is now in control of this market, and I think we're on borrowed time if we do get any sort of bounce. Anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. Talk to you guys all next week.